So, Fantasy Flight Games have gone ahead and revealed every single card that is coming out in Legends of the Force. So today we are going to kick off a little mini series of revealing and taking a look at the cards in the set with the Villainy leaders to start off with. I can't wait to see what this set is going to bring, and I hope that you will join me. My name is Ben Fitzpatrick. I am a TCG caster, so that means I just love talking about them. So let's do that right now. But before we get any further and into any of the card reveals, be sure to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on that notification bell so that you do not miss an upload. And also, drop me a follow over on X as well. We are 15 away from that 350 number. I'd love to hit that very, very soon, and potentially even to say like 500 maybe by the end of the year. So, Star Wars Unlimited, we are a month away at the time of recording from the pre-release weekend of the Legends of the Force set, and it looks like it, according to the news that broke overnight, that the set has actually been leaked beforehand, and that FFG have in response gone ahead and said, you know what, we don't want to give players an unfair advantage into major events like the Galactic Championships, which of course is going to be in the Legends of the Force format. So we're going to go ahead and reveal every single card that is going to be in this set. So we're not going to review every single card in the set right now. We're going to break it up into chunks, and we're going to start off with all of the Villainy leaders that are going to be coming out in the set. 9 of them in total, and we're going to start off with a completely unique leader, or a new leader that has been revealed with this update that we haven't seen already. This is Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren, a Vigilance Villainy leader, already not a bad aspect combination, has the leader ability upgrade to discard a card from your hand by resting the leader, and if you discarded an upgrade this way, you draw 1 card, and then when it deploys on 7 resources, it is a Sentinel unit, so the second Sentinel leader unit that we've had in the game so far. 5/5, when deployed, play any number of upgrades from your discard pile on this unit, 1 at a time, paying their costs. So a real interesting leader here, and a real interesting combination of different things that it wants to do. It's in Villainy and Vigilance, which typically has been a really great aspect combination for control style decks, having access to cards like No Glory Only Results, Power of the Dark Side, Super Laser Blast, some great control event tools that you're able to use on their printed resource costs. But the fact that we're having to loot away and loot upgrades away in order to draw 1 card, and then when it's deployed you play each upgrade, the issue that you've got with this leader unit here is that this just runs into Rivals Fall. If you get Rivals Falled out of a Kylo Ren leader deployment, and you're putting all of these upgrades that you've meticulously discarded away, you are losing so much tempo, and you lose essentially a whole action phase, really. Deploying on 7 as well is a little bit expensive. You're probably going to want to have to run this with command so that you can ramp it out earlier with cards like Resupply and Super Laser Technician. But I really want to like this leader. I really, really want to like this. I saw a glimpse of this last night, and I thought, okay, I love upgrade cards, but the issue that you've got is that the upgrade leader that is the most prevalent at the moment is Gar Saxon. And the only reason that Gar Saxon has become so good in the format right now is that players aren't playing it with a big slew of actual upgrades. They're playing it with shielded units or experience token units or one or the other that grants that kind of different ability. And of course, with those being upgrades and counting as upgrades, it gets the +1 for Gar Saxon. In this case, to get the full usage out of the leader abilities, you have to play this with a load of upgrades. There are a great load of upgrades in the game, don't get me wrong. And as I said, I really want to see this work. But right now, on the face of it, I just don't see it, unfortunately. I hope I get proved wrong, and I hope that someone comes out with a really, really cool aggro Kylo Ren, discard my hand with a load of upgrades, play it out and give it protection, but like I say, the problem is that this card just does die to Rival's Fall. And if you're paying all of these upgrades out, paying their costs as well, it would be a little bit better maybe if you didn't have to pay their costs for the upgrade, so that then you could do something else throughout the rest of the phase. But here, if you don't run into Rival's Fall, then great. This Kylo Ren just becomes an absolute monster. But if you do run into Rival's Fall, in the next action, you lose out on your phase, unfortunately. So, Kylo Ren, not quite doing it for me right now, but I really, really hope that it does work in the future. Next up, we've got Mother Talzin, a deployment on 5 resources this time, still Vigilance and Villainy. Action to tap and use the Force, so one of the leaders with the new Force mechanic being important here, that Force token that you can generate and then go and use and spend, like we are seeing in this instance. Give a unit -1/-1 for the phase, and then on deployment, 3/7 for 5 on attack, you may give a unit -1/-1 for this phase. Not bad. Not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Having to use the Force on its leader side is a little bit awkward potentially, because you might want to be using that later on in the game and later on in the phase. It depends how important the Force mechanic becomes throughout the rest, and as the format goes ahead and develops and as players get this full set now in their hands. But it's a 3/7 at deployment at 5, which is already pretty nice stats, and the on attack to give -1 for the phase as well. That's really, really nice. And again, I could see this getting paired with maybe Command here. I could see even this getting played as Mono Vigilance potentially, and using things like the Make an Opening as well. So you can combine Make an Opening with this to get -3/-3, as opposed to just the -1/-1. Combines nicely as well with things like Takedown, Fell the Dragon, because they will check for your HP and your attack point range at the time that event is played. So a couple of really nice combos that are going there. Talzin seems okay. I'm certainly more interested in Talzin at face value than I am at Kylo Ren from an immediate, this leader looks like it could make an impact in the format kind of thing. Next, we move on to the 2 command leaders. Next, we have Morgan Elspeth. So her leader ability action on her leader side is rest this leader, choose a friendly unit that attacked this phase, play a unit from your hand that shares a keyword with the chosen unit, and it costs 1 less. Then a 5 deployment is a 3/6, as opposed to what we've just seen from Talzin as a 3/7 for 5. 3/6 on attack, the next unit you play this phase costs 1 less if it shares a keyword with a friendly unit. This feels really, really interesting. I like the look of Morgan Elspeth right here. Her leader action, not bad. You're looking maybe to pair this with something like Grit. So again, maybe pairing this with Vigilance or with Aggression. Get a Grit unit out on board, attack with that Grit unit. Then you can play out another one that shares the keyword for 1 cost less. And then when she attacks at her 5 deployment, you can start getting a little bit more varied with the keywords that you take advantage of. So we'll be looking probably early for things like Grit, things like Raid, Sentinel probably as well if you're in that villainy aspect. I like the look of Morgan Elspeth. Anything that deploys on 5 generally is going to be quite nice, and at 3/6 it's not necessarily understated when it gets deployed. I think you are playing this primarily for the leader unit action as opposed to the actual leader action. You might get 1 or 2 uses out of this before she goes ahead and deploys on 5, or after she has deployed and that she's been dealt with. You might get 1 or 2 uses of this, but it's that epic action when we've deployed and that on attack card that I'm really, really interested in. So I like the look of Morgan Elspeth to start with. Next up, we've got Supreme Leader Snoke, who has a action to pay 1 resource and rest the leader. Give an experience token to the unit with the most power among friendly units. And then epic action deploys on 6. It's a 4/7, and on attack, you give an experience token to the unit with the most power among friendly villainy units. Really, really interesting. Deploys on 6 and is in the command aspect already, so you're probably already running things like Super Laser Technician and Resupply to be able to get to that 6 resource points sooner. Having to pay 1 for an action on leader side is a little bit awkward in the format right now. There aren't too many leaders off the top of my head, for at least, that force you to pay 1 action. Palpatine, maybe, but Palpatine has kind of fallen off from usage. I think Kira, you have to... Do you have to pay for Kira? I can't quite remember if you have to pay for Kira action. Yes, you do. So Kira has probably been the one that's seeing the most play right now. That gives shield units, it gives shield tokens, as opposed to what we're seeing here to grant experience tokens. And it's going to the one with the most power among friendly units. So what you're probably most likely looking to do is get out a Sentinel, boost up that Sentinel, and just have it sit there. And hope your opponent doesn't have an immediate answer to this. Importantly as well, this has the official keyword. So I believe it is official. So while you control an official unit, so if our good friend Snoke is deployed, because he's an official unit, the Emperor's Royal Guard gains Sentinel. So stick a Royal Guard on the board, boost up that Sentinel for days and for days and for days, and just let it sit there. Could be really, really nice and really, really interesting. I'm very intrigued about the concept of Supreme Leader Snoke, especially because of the way the format is right now. We've got a lot of upgrade hate in the format right now because pilots have been such a prevalent force and a prevalent mechanic in the game at the moment. So many players, and we saw this at the UK Games Expo weekend we had last weekend. Now, if you missed my video on that, check it out. I'll put the link to that in the description. We're seeing people play things like Confiscate in the main deck, disabling Fang Fighters in the main deck, a lot more immediate upgrade removal being utilized. So with experience tokens and shield tokens being counted as upgrades, we might start to see kind of that level out and that kind of balance out here. But 4/7 for 6, giving experience tokens away, I like the look of it at the very least right now. I'm certainly interested to see what people could potentially do. Next up, we've got one of the Spotlight deck leaders here in Aggression and Villainy. This is Darth Maul, and it's kind of an aggro control-y style leader. Action, exert, use the Force, so remove the Force token if you've got it, deal 1 damage to a unit and 1 damage to a different unit. So you can get double pings on 2 different units with the leader's action. And then when it deploys, it is a 6 resource deployment, 5/6, as opposed to the 4/7 that we've just seen with Snoke. You can, on attack, double saber away and ping onto 2 different units. I really like the look of Maul here to get some early double pings in. If we can use something in combination like Grenade Strike to start to deal multiple instances of damage, or set something up for an easy daring raid, or open fire to deal rid of it. It can also combine quite nicely with the Command Villainy Maul from set 2 to overwhelm in. So if you go ahead and get some early ping damage in, and then you go and play down this Maul to ambush and overwhelm in, the overwhelm, when overwhelm triggers, it checks for the amount of HP that is on that unit currently, and then deals the difference over that HP that's left, as opposed to the printed HP that's on the unit. So being paired with this 7-cost Maul could be really, really nice. And a little spoiler here, but we're getting a card like Darth Maul's Lightsaber as well. When played, if attached unit is Maul, you can attack with him. For this attack, he gains Overwhelm and can't attack bases. So if you slap the Lightsaber onto the Maul leader himself that we're getting in the Spotlight deck. You can deploy him, immediately give him that lightsaber, immediately give him Overwhelm, and then do a really nice combo where you're attacking in, the ability of Maul leader will trigger to ping and ping, then you can go and Overwhelm into one of the units that you've just damaged with that on attack ability, and get that Overwhelm damage onto the opponent's base. So some really nice combinations here. I can definitely see this be a bit more of a sort of aggro tempo style deck that we're going and playing in the new format. Next up, the second and final aggression villainy leader is going to be Third Sister, who has the leader action to rest, play a unit from your hand. It gains hidden for this phase. So hidden is one of the new keywords that's coming in Legends of the Force, and it means that that unit cannot be attacked for this phase unless it has Sentinel. Then she deploys on 5, a 5/4. She is hidden herself when Third Sister deploys, so the only way that you are removing this is with a card like Rival's Fall, and then on attack, the next unit you play this phase gains hidden. Now, a couple of interesting things that are going on here. First and foremost, and we'll have to wait maybe for further clarification on this, the leader action does not say about paying its cost. I imagine that this card might be either errated or that there will be an FAQ released clarifying that you do have to pay the cost for the unit that you are playing with the Third Sister leader ability, because otherwise the leader is going to be disgustingly good. If you can just freely play out a Crate Dragon from your hand without having to pay its cost and it's hidden for the phase, that is very, very disgusting. But I think there just needs to be a little bit of extra text, another bit of brackets here, like it is clarifying what hidden does as the keyword, just after that first sentence, that you've got to pay the cost for the unit that you play from your hand with Third Sister's leader ability, because otherwise this leader is going to be absolutely bonkers. Then next up, when she deploys, she is hidden herself, which is really important because she's only 4 HP when she deploys, which is quite low. So you can take one attack from Third Sister on one phase if you don't have immediate removal to it, and then hidden just wears off. So you take initiative and first action just crash into Third Sister and deal with her and send her back into the leader zone. I'm not sure how important hidden is going to be for the general sort of format that we're going to go into. I imagine that players are going to sort of try a few different things with this, and on attack, giving that next unit that you play hidden. It's very, very interesting. It's difficult to say without looking at the rest of the set, which we will do in future videos, don't worry. But for now, giving herself hidden is very, very interesting. Again, I definitely think this needs to be errated or clarified, that you have to pay the cost for the unit that you play from hand with leader ability, because otherwise this is just going to get out of hand very, very quickly. But with that clarification in mind, is Third Sister going to be good? Is Third Sister going to be very, very strong and impactful? I'm not sure. Hopefully. I always like to see the best in new cards. I always want to see that new leaders getting some cool representation, some new things getting tried. We will have to wait and see. Next up, we have Barriss Offee, which is another one of the leaders that we hadn't previously seen until all of the cards were revealed here on overnight and into this morning. So Barriss Offee is action, rest, use the Force, play an event from your hand, it costs 1 less, and then deploying on 6 resources. She's a 4/7 action. Again, you have to use the Force to activate it. You play an event from your hand, and it costs 1 less. So in Cunning and Villainy here, obviously a lot of synergy with events in Cunning, but the issue that you've got is having to use the Force with it. I think that's the big thing, and the biggest thing that's letting down this leader right now, because otherwise, what you just do if you're wanting to get events out onto the board early is that you just play something like Jabba, or even better, you play Bib Fortuna, where you rest the unit as opposed to having to use that force token. If the force turns out to not be a really impactful thing in the game and that players don't really utilize it too much in the format coming up, then cool, Barrisoffy looks a lot better. But having to use that force token, I have a feeling that the force is going to be very important. And if you're going to claim it and you're going to take the force, there's going to be one or two very opportune times throughout the course of a game that you're going to want to use it and make that force token count. So here, having to use the force for the leader ability, for me, just feels like it's a real letdown and a real drawback, which is a shame because it's in a great aspect pairing in Cunning and Villainy. 4/7 stat line for 6 certainly isn't too bad. You probably are going to want to pair this with Command and get a resupply or a Super Laser Technician onto board to get that ramp so that you're matching some of the leaders that are out there in the format right now that are deploying at 5. 6 is kind of that slight area of the board and area in the game for leader deployment. You're thinking, I'd like this out one phase sooner here. But Barrisoffy feels like it's a little bit of a letdown. If we didn't have to use the force token, I feel like that this could be a lot better and a lot stronger. But right now, when we've got cards like Bib Fortuna and the Jabba the Hutt that we've just seen, Barris, her leader ability just feels kind of vanilla at this stage right now. Next up, we've got Grand Inquisitor, the second instance of a Grand Inquisitor leader. I loved GI in the first instance in set 1 in Spark of Rebellion. I played GI with Security Complex. Is this GI gonna be any better or make any other waves? I don't know, is the honest answer. It's in Cunning Villainy, so already nice aspect combination. Leader action to rest, and again, using that force token, attack with a friendly unit. The defender gets -2/-0 for this attack. Okay, that's a little bit better. Deploys at 5, comes in as a 3/5 with a shield. On attack, the defender gets -2/-0 for this attack. So GI is very focused on board control, it looks like here, giving defenders -2 attack for the swing that you make in, either with a friendly unit on its leader side or into the target of any attack when we are deployed. The fact that he has a shield when he's deployed out as well makes that leader ability a lot stronger, at least the first time that you use it. There's two aspects that you're either going to probably want to pair this with. Vigilance, to be able to just be hardcore tempo control removal style build, or potentially aggression. And aggression, hear me out on this one. I think with Grand Inquisitor, if you're wanting to get the most utilization out of this leader unit ability, you're going to want to start chucking a load of resources and upgrades onto GI. I think you're going to want to chuck things like Fallen Lightsaber onto Grand Inquisitor to just give him that extra defense, get an extra ping on as well so that the 3 damage that you are dealing in is going to help to deal a little bit more into actually defeating that unit. Because if at this point, if you're just attacking in and just kind of bumping a unit and not clearing the way of it with this on-attack ability, this is not good in that case. Combining it with something else so that you are clearing the way of some units, that becomes a little bit better. The other way that you could potentially go ahead and pair this with Vigilance is you could use the Shield Steel combo that we're seeing in Gas Saxon at the moment with Director Krennic and the Shuttle ST-149. So you play Krennic on the board, then you wait until GI has been deployed, attack with GI Leader, pop the shield, and hopefully defeat an enemy unit. Then play out the Shuttle ST-149, move that Krennic shield over to Grand Inquisitor. Or you play this with something like Security Complex again, so that you can grant a shield to something. Although, let me check, does Security Complex actually allow you, because I'm not sure whether it will allow you to security. Does Security Complex let you? No, non-leader unit. So you can't even use this with Security Complex here. So for me, it would be you'd want to chuck a load of different upgrades on this, I think. So Fallen Lightsaber is the one that sprung to mind straight away. Of course, GI is going to be a force unit, so you can ping 1 damage to each ground unit the defending player controls. And most importantly, it's a +3 health upgrade to the leader unit as well. What other upgrades could we potentially look at here? If I go type and down to upgrade here, we've got Ruthlessness. When this unit attacks and defeats a unit, deal 2 damage to the defending player's base, giving +2 power, not bad. And Burning as well. We've got Vader's Lightsaber, doesn't really help us. Frozen in Carbonite is a tempo tool. Grievous's Wheel Bike goes really onto Grievous. That's all you're really wanting. And then you've got some of the newer stuff in here as well, which we'll talk about, that maybe could give you an opportunity here. Darth Revan's Lightsabers, I believe, does he count as a Sith? He is not Sith. So Revan's Lightsaber doesn't really work with GI in this case. I really want to like this. I really want to see the best in this. But I'm not 100% sure how much utilization that you're getting with this leader unit ability. We haven't even spoken about the leader ability as well in itself. Again, you're having to use the force token. You're having to burn that away. The fact that it's going onto friendly units, however, makes this feel a little bit better. But again, it's just going to be how easily it's going to be able to recur that force token each and every phase. I imagine there will be some kind of build that will be like infinite force to be able to use this every single phase. But right now, I don't know. I'll have to look again at the rest of the card pool to see how strong that GI is going to be. Finally, when we talk about the end of Villainy leaders, we have one that is going to be a very exciting leader and very interesting to see what we can do for the rest of the game in terms of leaders. Because this, you'll notice, is a mono Villainy leader. The first instance and the first time that we are seeing a mono aspect leader in the game so far. This is Darth Revan, also equally as exciting because it's from the Old Republic. It's from the extended universe in Star Wars. And this leader, for those who have been following Star Wars Unlimited for a little while, was revealed during the Lille Regional Qualifier. It was revealed right at the end with my good friend Ross. I'll leave a link to the Regional Qualifier stream as well. You might recognize a familiar face. If you do, go ahead and watch that stream. But what this leader does, let's dive into that exactly. When a friendly unit attacks and defeats a unit, you may exhaust this leader, and if you do, give an experience token to that friendly unit, and then deploys on 5. It's a 3/6 that restores for 1 and has the same ability. When a friendly unit attacks and defeats a unit, you can give an experience token to that friendly unit. So a lot of things to chow on, and a lot of things to break down here with Darth Revan. First and foremost, again, it looks like that we're trying to gear and engineer towards that tempo kind of strategy that we want to build with Darth Revan, relying on units to attack and defeat your opponent's units, as opposed to just hard removing them with events, and then granting experience tokens to that friendly unit. Of course, importantly, that unit has got to survive. But I like the idea here of potentially using this in combination with shielded units so that you go and attack in, pop your own shield, clear the way of an opponent's enemy unit, and then replacing that shield token with an experience to just make it stronger on board. I like that kind of potential as a way to combine with this Darth Revan. Obviously, you are mono aspect here with Villainy, so your base is going to be a really important choice, an important decision to go with here to make sure that you are getting the most possible usage and the most possible benefit out of the limited card pool that you are going to get. Remember, we only generally, on average in sets, get like 6 to 8 different cards that are mono Villainy aspect, maybe 10 at a push. So in this set, I will imagine that there will be a lot more leader units and cards that will be mono villainy aspect to help try and support Revan. But your base is going to be very, very important so that you can open up a wider card pool for yourself. Obviously, you can play other cards. You'll just have to pay the aspect penalty for them. You just have to pay that extra 2 resources. But I think you'll want to try and get the most out of that initial aspect to start with at the very least. And I think that will be key as we go on and if we start to see more of these mono aspect leaders. The leader unit, however, has a lot going on. 3/6 with 5 resource deployment is really, really nice. Restore 1 is really, really good. I don't know, and I can't remember how many cards, and what's going to be the best, should be a keyword. There we go, restore. There are 7 cards in the game right now, or 7 units in the game right now that are Villainy and say restore. And 3 of them are coming out in the new set. So right now, ignoring the Eye of Sion, Sidious, and the Magistrate Scout, we have 4 cards that have restore on them in Villainy. And all of them are Vigilance aspect as well. Del Miko, which we haven't seen get played for ages as well, Del Miko, forcing your opponent to pay 1 more resource for each event that they play. Maybe that comes back. I like the thought of that. Malevolence, which doesn't really see any play right now, despite it being an exploit 4 card. Morgan Elspeth, which I play currently in my Twin Suns deck, to be able to defeat another friendly unit and draw a card. So the combo that I do with this is completely sidetracking, but it's a really, really fun combination, and I want to try and share this with you. So the Twin Suns deck that I've built at the moment is Ray with Flip Palp. So what you do is that you have a clone trooper on board, and you have Morgan Elspeth. So you attack Morgan Elspeth, on attack, defeat a clone, draw a card. That sees Flip Palp fulfill a condition. So you activate Flip Palp effect, get Flip Palp on, get the Villainy, just deal 2 damage, and it's really, really funny. I did this in my Twin Suns game before the Little Regionals, funnily enough. Me, Ross, Joe, and Driss, the casting team over there. In fact, no, it wasn't Driss. It was Emma, a member of Fanfinity. Shout out to the Fanfinity crew who ran that event, first and foremost. It was an incredible event to be a part of. But us 4 were playing on the Friday night before day 1 of the Lille Regional Qualifier. And I pulled off that combo, and I said beforehand, everyone else had either taken the initiative, taken the blast, or the plan. So I was like, right, okay, just don't mind me. I'm going to do some goofy stuff. Please don't make me look like the problem. And unfortunately, doing that made me look like the problem. So, love to Morgan Elspeth, and hope that this card gets a little bit more play. And then finally, as well, to go back onto what we were talking about with Villainy units having restore, the last one is the Corvus, which doesn't see play at the moment from memory at all. Restore 2, 4/5 for 5, relies on pilots to be played here. So, having another leader, or a leader unit that has restore on it, obviously Krennic has restore too, but this feels a lot stronger than Krennic here, because Krennic relying on damaged units to get that +1. Here, Revan is still technically damaged units, but it's a +1/+1 with that experience token that you're granting. And of course, like I was saying earlier, you can manipulate that if you have shields, or if you have ways to grant shields to your units. So I'm really, really excited to see what Revan has to offer and is going to do in the format coming up. I need to play through Knights of the Old Republic as well. I really, really want to play through that. I know that it is... I have it on Steam, I believe. I have Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. But I know it's in it's in a collection that's out at the moment as well, with like Jedi Knight 1 and 2, Republic Commando, one of my favorite Star Wars games of all time, Pod Racer, and I think The Force Unleashed as well, which is another fantastic Star Wars game. as well. So I need to get through Knights of the Old Republic. I've got so many games that I want to be able to play at the moment, but there's too many games, too little time, and especially when we have a massive set reveal like we have seen right here. So those are the 9 Villainy leaders that are going to be coming out in Legends of the Force. For leaders that I think could potentially make a massive impact, I think Revan, definitely. I really like the look of Revan. I like the thought process of Elspeth as well. A little bit understated maybe with the attack, but I like the thought of Morgan Elspeth. Just get out and spit out a load of keyword units, similar to Boba Damio. But because this is in Villainy, I feel like it might have a little bit of an easier time than Boba Damio has had, the leader from set 2. And then finally, I think maybe Maul. I think Maul could be fun if you're playing this like hyper tempo, hyper aggressive. Even if you are maybe playing this as mono aggression and you get aggression on 4 resources as well, that could be a fun little combination. And then the one leader that I want to see work the most, well, the 2, I suppose, that I want to see work the most. I really want to see Kylo Ren work, but I feel like at 7 resources, this might be too expensive, and the leader ability is a little bit too narrow for it to potentially work in a competitive standpoint. And then Grand Inquisitor. I really want to see a Grand Inquisitor leader do very, very well in the format. GI1 was okay at the start of the game, but got eclipsed very, very quickly. Will GI2 suffer the same fate? Very, very possibly. But with all that being said, it is now over to you. What leaders are you looking forward to from the Villainy aspect in Legends of the Force? What one do you think are sleeper hits that maybe I've written off too early? And what ones do you think are going to be immediately meta impactful when this set comes out? We are just over a month away from Legends of the Force to be released. I'm going to try and get myself down to a pre-release and film that pre-release as well, so stay tuned to the channel for that. And of course, we will have a booster box opening on release day as well. So with all that being said, that is going to do it for this video. If you have enjoyed, drop a like rating on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn on those notifications so you do not miss a thing. I'm really, really excited of what Year 2 has in store for Star Wars Unlimited, and I hope you are as well. But until that point, we will see you in the next video. So until then, see you soon. Goodbye.